This podcast is hosted by Sheza Barbour, co-founder of Good Tree Institute, and joined by licensed therapist Archie Aquino and our resident scholar and founder, Dr. Nadia Qatranji.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Timeless Conversations with Good Tree Institute. I'm your host, Sheza Barbour, and I'm joined here today, like all of our other episodes, with Dr. Nadia Qatranji and Archie Aquino. So we're going to jump. Wa alaikum salam. We're going to jump right back into the continuation of the story with Surah Maryam and continue on and see what else, like how Zakariya's dua is being answered. So, Dr. Nadia, do you want to continue on?
Yes, let's do that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So if you recall, the last ayah that we worked on was where, Zakaria alayhi salam was so surprised how would this happen with all the impossibility of kind of like the normal ways, right? Him being old and his wife being infertile. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, it's easy for me. I created you before and you were nothing. So now Zakaria alayhi salam is asking, he says, قال رب اجعل لي آية. He says, oh my caretaker, make a sign for me. Like the moment my wife is pregnant, I want to know right away that actually it happened. So he said to him, قال آيتك, your sign is that you are not going to be speaking to people. قال آيتك ألا تكلم الناس ثلاث ليال سوية. For 3 consecutive nights that you're not going to be sick. It's not because you have a problem. It's sawiya, which is to be basically, there's nothing wrong. And also it's like 3 complete nights, 3 full nights, you will lose the ability to speak. That is going to be your sign that your wife is pregnant. So, and then he said, I think let's just pause here for a second. Let's just look at it right before we go further. So he said to him, make a sign for me. He said, your sign is that you don't speak to people 3 consecutive nights.
Yeah.
I thought he trusted Allah.
Archie the cynic.
What do I need a sign? Like, why?
That's... Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I see it as, speaking for myself, this is what I do. I mean, I just don't get a miraculous answer. But, sometimes when you're, like, I'm really desperate about something, and I'm asking, and I'm really asking, and I'm just like, oh, God, just give me a sign I'm making the right decision. Like, I don't know, show it to me in a dream or something. Like, just show me that I'm going in the right direction when I'm struggling. I may not get that dream. Usually I don't, but I see that humanity, that portion of his humanity of like, oh, I just really want to know. Did you hear me?
Zakaria is a prophet and he is reflecting on how his bones are hurting and his hair is all aflame with gray. Like he's been doing this forever and he's still
a human. He's still a human. That is a reminder, again, that he is still a human and he is a prophet human, not an angel human. Mm-hmm. Going back to the same thing that we do about prophets. We always put them on a different pedestal. And I'm not saying they're not like the best, right? But they're still human. With that human nature, that always shows up, which I love so much. Archie,
I would, if I were Allah, I'd be like, haven't I told you? Haven't I come through?
By the way,
come through for you so many times?
Okay, let me tell you this. Exactly what you're saying is actually mentioned about Ibrahim alayhi salam in Surah Al-Baqarah, where he told him, he said, Ya Rabbi, show me how do you make people alive? He said, didn't you believe? I thought you already believed. He said, yeah, I did, but I just want my heart to calm down, to have that tranquility.
Oh.
Again, it's that humanness that we always try to run away from. And that's what's the best part about us, is that we have that duality, that we always need to make sure that we are embracing all of it. So our prophets give us that demonstration of how these all play together. never hate your humanity.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about was like, it's interesting that the sign is silence.
Mm.
You know, that Allah's like, okay, your sign is going to be like, you can't talk for 3 days. It's like, you're just going to be silent. That's, I don't know, that I find that very intriguing. Like, why did Allah choose silence for him?
I mean, it's a pretty unmistakable sign. Like, you can't mistake losing your voice for anything else except laryngitis or something. But I mean,
Well, but
Yeah.
that sounds
even
like
then,
what
caused
that
by Allah still.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it's kind of like a lot of the times when we talk, we can't really be, and we can't be present to the miracle. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to give him access to actually be present and give us the understanding that this is what's needed. When you are in the face of something like this, you just need to
stop talking.
stop talking. And you notice how a lot of times when we have a moment of awe, what do? We just sort of just like drop the mic, right? There's no need to say anything at this point. And maybe that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. And interestingly enough, what came out of him, let's just put back the ayahs, what came out of him when he said that, when he was unable, like that moment came, look what he said. فَخَرَجَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ مِنَ الْمِحْرَابِ. So he came out to his people, unto his people. Remember the group of people who were around him. مِنَ الْمِحْرَابِ, from his place of worship. أن سبحوا بكرة وعشية, that you do tasbih. فأوحى إليهم. So he indicated to them, because he indicated he wasn't able to speak, right? And they say the indication could be that kind of like lip movement. It could be that he showed them what to do, right? But just with signs. And سبحوا, that you do tasbih بكرة وعشية, early morning and in the evening. So it's as if, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to take that out, that ability to speak, so you go internally and you do that tasbih. So I want to take a moment here just to kind of explain the aspect of tasbih a little bit further, and why tasbih. So we want to tackle 2 points. What is tasbih, and why is it that he didn't say alhamdulillah, for instance?
That's a good point.
Praise be to Allah. Why didn't he say Allahu Akbar? God is great. Why didn't he say La ilaha illallah? There's no God but Allah. Why tasbih? So let's look at the word tasbih. This is a very, very, I love this word. This gives you an understanding why we say it so often. So sabaha is a type of worship, right? But also the meaning of it is to float or to glide, to swim. So our scholars, when they define the word tasbih, they say it is tanzih Allah amma la yaliqu bihi. It's like taking away, stripping away anything you say about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that does not befit him. In other words, to bring the absolute perfection that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why I love this even more than saying glorify, because glorify, it's as if I'm giving it to him. No, it's actually remove the things that usually we put about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what are the things that we put about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What do we usually do that requires us to do tasbih and to remove these things? Like let them float away, let them go away. What are the things that we usually do? And especially when it comes to dua.
Doubt that it ever happened.
It will never happen, right? We get so resigned about it. We get so resigned, like it's not even possible. I'm asking for the impossible. He's not going to answer me. I'm not worthy.
Right.
Where did you make that decision from? Who gave you permission to make that decision about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looking at you? That's made up. Or he can't, or he doesn't want to, or whatever we say. Whatever we say, we humanize, as we always say. We put the human element about Allah from our own thoughts. We kind of like make an analogy there, which
Yeah, like
doesn't
we
work.
give our own limitations, our own human limitations to Allah and saying and assume that this is never going to happen. Like he can't do this.
Yeah. And that's why the best thing to do is to do tasbih when you see that the sign is happening. Because it's like, Ya Rabbi, subhanallah, subhanallah, I thought that was not real. I thought you were not listening to me. I thought all of that, fill in the blank. Subhanallah. And
It's
that's
recognizing that you had the doubt, recognizing that you were skeptical, and
acknowledging, yeah.
acknowledging that my bad, you are that guy. I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating your magnificence. You're just magnificent.
Exactly. I am not the one who's giving it to you. That's who you are. That's why I love, like, the absolute perfection belongs to him. He's the only one who has that. We look at him in a different way. And as if also, I mean, I heard this beautiful also saying that it's just like, you know, a lot of the times you feel that, oh yeah, well, you want to talk about these things that are happening. Whereas what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do is to get present to the truthness of it, to the realness of it, rather than being so into whatever has happened. But to really understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the real cause of everything, is the true one of everything.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of gives me goosebumps even thinking about it, because I'm like having flashbacks of all types of du'as that I've asked for, things I've asked for, and when they were answered, where they answered, and things like that. And, these are really great tips. Like, I didn't know that, didn't know this, what you should do when your dua is being answered. These are really great points for us to be really mindful of. As we're asking for dua, as we're begging and pleading and looking for answers and looking for guidance,
Yeah.
But is this like a vanity thing? Does God want us to recognize his magnificence and perfection because it makes him feel good? Or why is this a requirement to?
Yeah, that's a great question. And along with this question, I would add another one, which is, how sometimes you feel that you get to the desperate point, you get to your lowest point, and that's when du'as get answered. You feel like Ya Rabbi, I'm knocking your door and there's nothing else that I can ask. Like no one, everything failed me. Why? Why does it go to this point? Or why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do all of this? There is something here that's very important about us human beings, is that we live in an elusive reality. We think that things have power in of themselves. And when we do dua and we know that the only one who can answer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we strip it from everything, when we get so connected back to the true reality that Allah is the real one, he is the only true one that makes things happen. Yeah, he makes it through certain means, but that's not what causes the thing. It's a difference between the tool and the real cause and the source. And we human beings many times mix these two things up, and we think that the tool is the source. So that's why maybe sometimes he withholds the response. He withholds the dua, so that what we get to see that, okay, Ya Rabbi, everything failed me. That's it. I'm hitting rock. There's nothing that works. And dua hits, and the answer happens. That's when I know that he is the one who can do anything, who can do everything, just like what happened to Zakaria alayhi salam. It's important. I mean, living in an elusive reality is nice for some time, but it's a fake life to live in an illusion. You want to know the truth. You want to be connected to the reality. And that's the reality. And same thing with the tasbih. Tasbih is removing this illusion. It's not that Allah wants it. He doesn't care. He is already like this. That's who Allah is. But it's for us, when I know the trueness about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is my source of power.
Yeah, again, like everything is done for you. This is all for you to connect to God. Like when I look back, and I'm not going to ugly cry this time, but going back to my previous example of like when my dua was answered about my daughter Amal, and how when I made that dua, I was at that most desperate point in my life, but I had to get there because it's almost like stripping away everything else that I was trying, even if it was medical, right? Like it was medical interventions and stuff, but it was like all of that I had to give away all that other power until I realized this is, according to the doctors, this is like a 1% chance this is ever happening. So this is like impossible. So the only way this is ever going to happen in Allah is if you make this happen. And I had to get to that stripping away everything else, all other power, all other power, all other power, until I got to that really desperate point when I was asking and pleading from the bottom of my heart. And that's when it was answered. And then when you look at it, it's like, it's all about me connecting to God. And I have that as a memory, as a focal point, as a reminder.
He's real for you now.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
exactly.
It's like Allah is real. And that's the whole point. You have to add it. I remember one of our very esteemed scholars, he was talking to us and he looked at it and he's like, Allah is more real than this tree that you're seeing right here. We don't see it this way. We don't interact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way that He's more real than this tree. That's what this path can lead us to. When you get connected to this aspect and you see it happening and you're just open to seeing these, it makes that huge difference. And that's why, by the way, when we're talking about signs, it's very important that a lot of the times these signs are all around you, they're happening, but you're just not paying attention to them because we're not open to seeing anything besides what we are expecting. Like you want your dua to be answered in a certain way, or the sign needs to show up in a certain way. Just if you open yourself up to the possibilities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might be actually leading you to where you need to go. And He's doing that, but you're just blind from seeing that, and you're oblivious of it because you have certain expectations.
Maybe that's the function of being in that desperate state, because like you said, if you have a certain idea of how you think that your dua is going to be answered, that's all you're going to be looking for is that specific one way. But if you're desperate, you're like open to anything, any form, just give me a, like a sign, give me some sort of, I don't know how it's going to look, but please do something. And it opens up your possibilities, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes the no sign is a sign.
Yeah. That's true. The no sign, or the answering, the not answering, the withholding of it or something is a sign. Like I've seen that play out in our lives, in my family, where it's like maybe the no sign or the not answer is that we're not ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember one time one of the people who came to Islam was saying, just like, I was at a point where I knew in my heart, I knew that was the truth, but I just wanted to push. And he was like, Rabbi, just any sign, give me any sign, anything, a rain, a cloud, a thunder, anything, just so that I would know I'm. And he said it was dead quiet. Because it was inside and he needed to trust that light that was in. That was the sign. That was what's in you, was that thing. And you were just trying to deny it. So subhanAllah, as I said, a lot of times it's just like being open and being willing to really look. I'm telling you, it will just be amazing to see how real Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in your personal life, and you're just not noticing it. That's what I found for my own self in my own journey.
Yeah. Dr. Nadia, before we move on, because this subject and the power of dua and Zakaria's story is just so important, and it's practical. Can you give us kind of like practical elements of making dua, kind of like a recap so far of what we've learned about we have Maryam and Zakaria, and like, okay, what should we do like about dua?
Yeah.
Like, how can we make this right? Like, how do we, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and I know we mentioned last time the aspects that we got from Zakaria alayhi salam, right? That intimate relationship, that connection, that you want to restore and build that vulnerability, that like being so with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and speaking from your